19 years of, I call it university, has definitely got me to where I am today. I am actually a small town farm guy from Alberta, Canada. So I grew up on a farm. 100 people was my town, in the middle of nowhere, cows, chickens, pigs, horses. And I was out in minus 40-degree weather, feeding horses and feeding chickens, all that kind of jazz back in the day. So working hard was in my blood at a very early age, from like age 7, age 8, age 9 to 18 when I moved. So I was the rebel. I call myself the black sheep. Where for a town of 100 people, I wanted this. I had a big dream of basically, moving to California to pursue my bodybuilding career. Because at 12 years old, I was bullied in school. I was a very skinny kid, 110 pounds soaking wet, had no friends. My class wasn't that very big, but when you have no skill, I lifted weights when I was 12 years old. That was kind of my first thing, was lifting weights to kind of give me some confidence back. And that's where I basically bought every magazine that I could imagine, Muscle and Fitness, Iron Magazine, and basically just studied all these magazines for like 5 years. Did my first bodybuilding show at 17 years old, got last place, and was the guy who was the smallest guy there, but the most cut, had no muscle, just really skinny. And I moved from the farm to California, 18 years old, with a couple $100 in my pocket, basically, just kind of moved to my dream. And I walked into this gym called King's Fitness Gym in Glendora, California, to this 6'7" guy. And I'm like 5'7". And said, I'm this Canadian guy who emailed you working at your gym with no certificate, just wanting to pursue my dream. And I had to really prove myself to this giant of a human in California. When I got the job, basically gave me one client for a week named Walter. I got paid $15 an hour for working with him. This is like 19 years ago. And that's my start to personal training. And then a week later, he said, Matt, everyone in this gym loves you. I'm a very talkative person, but I can tell I'm very talkative. So they called me the Walmart greeter on my last day at that gym 9 months later. But long story short, it's funny to say this actually, is I grew the gym membership base just by being me. It tripled in size because I was the Walmart greeter, basically. So at 19 years old. So with that, I moved back to Canada because I couldn't get my visa, all that, basically all that stuff. I was training clients there off and on. And I went to school full-time called NATE for my personal training certification course, basically a full-time program for 2 years. From 19 to 21, I was in school for being a personal trainer, full-time in school. And I almost failed high school. So in this school, I got honors because I actually enjoyed learning about personal training. So, but while I was doing that, I was broke, had no money. I was living on credit cards. I was driving an old beat up truck and I didn't have any connections. I was just this kid again, right? Just going for a dream. And I finished the school and had my first kind of paid client from California, of course. And I realized, kind of going to where TRM was born, Dan, was I struggled for 2 years as a trainer, from 21 years old to 23, where I was not making really any money, just paying the bills. And I was like, well, how can I be successful at this? So I learned, I invested into the coaching that I didn't have. I got a loan from somebody in my family to get me the first, go. And by 25 years old, I had a $20,000 a month business as a personal trainer with no social media and just learning business and how to do this and build this, by example. So this is 25. So I'm 38 now. So basically 14 years ago, I guess, end of the day, right? And through that, I had started a natural bodybuilding federation from scratch at 21 years old while I was in school, which now is called WNBF Canada. I literally built that from the ground up, from nothing. And I remember holding my first show, and there was 20 people there, and then building it over 45 shows over 9 years and selling it to Leo and Charlotte King, who have built it bigger than I ever did. They did a phenomenal job. And I also had a beverage company called RE7. I actually built that with my uncle. And we got that into 3,000 locations across Canada and the US. I was the VP, so I was building that company as well. And also competing as a bodybuilder. I actually won a pro card, bodybuilder pro cards. I actually competed in 12 bodybuilding shows, won a pro card 25, WNBF pro card, did the world championships twice. So I've experienced competing, training, business. And then I kind of fell into a slump for a while and just kind of lost myself in all these business ventures I was doing. I got dead broke once, lost everything, and had to start from scratch, basically 28 years old again from nothing. And so I've felt the pain of success and the pain of having nothing twice. And so I also started this venture with, actually, you might even know, Dorian Yates and Mike O'Hearn and Jay Jung, called Super League. So there was a Super League thing in front of Vegas about 6, 7 years ago. Mike O'Hearn actually is a friend of mine, and he actually asked me to be on his team. So I came down to Vegas to this Super League thing, fell in love with it, and said, Jay, I want to host Team Canada against Mike O'Hearn. And I got 3 months to basically get a team together. So I got back and got on the phone and was talking with all my Canadian people in the industry, and I got a team together, Team Canada. Like Antoine Bonnet was one of my guys, a couple other big names in the industry. And we literally lost by 1 point to Mike O'Hearn's team because my guy got injured on the pull down machine. So, and that led to me bringing Super League Canada to Montreal and shutting down the biggest gym in Canada, 80,000 square foot gym, where I hosted this event and brought 100 athletes to an event in 3 months. And some big names like Johnny Jackson came, Branch Warren came. I brought all these names basically together to kind of host this big event. And so it led to where I am now, man, TRM. I realized from day one, I've always been a coach. I love being a coach. And I started having these trainers reach out to me and asking about business, how do you get clients? I was just helping people for free for 2 years. It's just doing free stuff. And my wife, actually, now wife, mentioned, Mathew, why are you doing all this work? You've invested so much money and time into being successful over all these years. You should be charging for your time. My wife's telling me this now, this is like 7, 8 years ago. So I began TRM 6 years ago, actually 5.5 years ago. One guy show, just starting from scratch again, and built this business to a very large company now with 5 core members, 7 leaders. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, I'm the guy that literally went through university, through business and personal training and learning success and what not to do. And that's what we built TRM around, is the 4 pillars of, is mindset, marketing, sales, and systems in their business. And when you come through our program, it isn't just a bunch of Facebook ads and people who DM on Instagram. It's like actually is a business that's legit, that we've taken clients who are very experienced, 20 plus years in the industry, and made them very successful with just pure passion and growing out of like good business practices. So, but my most proud possession, Dan, is being a dad of 2 and being a loving husband to my wife of now 16 years. So I'm proud to say that I have gone through a lot of business ups and downs, but my wife and family definitely is my cornerstone.
I think we see things in this, in a lot of us at least see things as like, are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. The worst thing that could happen is that we could fail, right? And we could we could be broke, or we could be, and I think obviously those things are unfortunate, and that's, you don't want to be broke and you don't want to have to go through hard times. But does it ever like, have you ever thought about it from the perspective of like, because you've done a lot of things, you've had a lot of different successes, you've had a lot of different ventures. Do you think that there's almost this understanding of the risk of failing, but not necessarily a fear of failing?
My farm life, my farm upbringing definitely instilled in me a work ethic. But here's the thing. My work ethic was like, do whatever it takes, work all day long, work 7 days a week. And I did that. And I realized I became a workaholic. I actually have an addictive personality, being a Pisces. So I work 7 days a week. I was that guy in my 20s with my businesses. And I actually ended up being in a hospital at 27 because I was working so much with high stress. And I'm talking a guy who actually takes care of himself is in a hospital on IVs for 3 days because I was so stressed. And I realized, okay, things got to change because, there's a balance here. So I've finally figured out a formula going through all these challenges on what to do and what not to do. But one mentor told this to me one time, Dan, that kind of hit me. He says, Mathew, he's like, until you've really lost everything at least once in your journey, you haven't really become a true entrepreneur. He says, when you kind of go all into your risk and you all put everything on the line, and you're going to have massive success, but you might also hit some big failures. But don't look at failures as a failure. Look at failing as a chance to what can you learn to get better next time. So I took that lesson and I kept applying it. And like even moving to Grand Cayman right now, Dan, this year has been extremely difficult for our family because I come from Canada with my two young 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. We were in Montreal. Now I'm in Grand Cayman Islands. Everyone says, "Oh, you're in paradise." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in paradise," but you don't realize the work it takes, the sacrifice, the risk it takes to sell everything you own in Montreal, and our kids aren't guaranteed to get in school. It costs 3 times more to live here. Yes, there's no taxes, but you got to level up or else you're going back. You know what I mean? So I did that because I am a risk taker, and it forces me to be a better human being. But you go back to, I learned these things when I was younger and I kept doing them. But as long as you can be aware in your mind of when the barrier is being pushed and when you can keep moving it, whenever I've been pushed the hardest is when I grew the most.
So moving to California, you mentioned that you moved and you really weren't going there. You were going there with a passion, but not necessarily with like you said you showed up without any certifications or
Yeah.
and you come to the gym and you're like, "Hey, I want to be here." And so, you can make things like you can do things and make things work out, but and then you mentioned going to and moving now and it's still being this risk. What would your advice kind of be for people out there? Because there's people that listen to this podcast that are in both points in their life. There's people who may be that 18, 19, 20-year-old who have no other people to worry about. They can take risks. They're still young enough, and not to say that 38 or 58 or 88 isn't young enough to like fail and restart, but like at 19 or 20, you're so young, it really means a lot less maybe. So there's that kind of person. And then there's also that person who might have a family or might have a significant other, at least, that they have to also take into consideration like you do now. What would your advice be for that person on taking risks whenever you have that extra set of responsibilities?
So that's a good question, Daniel. So I would say you have to look at it two ways. So first is you want to weigh down like logically, what do you have to weigh down right now is, do you have a savings net you actually can work off if you need that? And what are your costs associated with the actual shift or move out of the corporate office to full time, whatever you're doing? And then there's also going to be the place where you're going to go for it, right? And there's also that faith in yourself that you can do it, and that takes a lot of balls. I'll be very blunt, very a lot of balls to do it, and a lot of courage. And it's also really scary. So I realized that if I depended on my family to motivate me, I wouldn't be anywhere, unfortunately, in my life, because they're all small town thinkers, be in your 4-way box, love my family to pieces, but that's how whenever I do something big, they're like, really? No. So I'm very different. I'm very much a black sheep. So if you have a family or kids, you weigh both options. You be smart about it, but also if you really feel in your heart you want to do it, you have to go for it. But just be smart about, if you're going to do it, go all in and do it. Don't go half in, because if you go half in, you're probably not going to actually finish through the process. This Cayman thing, for example, I dabble with it for 2 years. I was like, am I not going to go? Am I going to go? Finally, Genevieve sat me down in December last year and said, are we going to do this or not? And we said, I'm all in. It was 3 days before New Year's, and we're going all in. It's literally on that decision. By January 1st, she was already selling stuff. We were like getting the permits in order, the papers together. I had to figure in a corporation. We forgot one paper over. It was a ton of work. I never expected the work it was involved. So but now we're here, and there's still more paperwork to get done to even stay here. You know what I mean? Live here. So we made a decision and committed to it. And I find whenever you commit to it, I'm a faith guy. I'm a Christian guy. So you when you really go into the faith of it and use like God show your path, but also have faith in yourself to follow through, I always find the path will come through it if you just commit to it 100%. But if you're 80% there and you're like, usually it's going to result in going back to where you were before.
It's not the same as a lot of industries, right? I mean, it's not looked at the same. There's not necessarily the same pathways to getting into the industry. There's a lot of different ways you can get in. I mean, I've talked to people that, come from completely different industries and knowledge-based backgrounds. At TRM, how do you handle taking the person into account? Obviously, that's very important when it comes to what you guys do, but how do you specifically do that?
Okay, so that's a good question. So it also depends on where the coach is at when they start. So if they're actually starting from ground zero and like just getting certified fresh with nobody, that's of course a little bit different way we coach them than if you've been coaching for 5 years and you have like maybe 15 clients and you want to grow. So a little bit different situation in both counts.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
So I'll give a context of a beginner going to get their first clients, and also I'll take a more of an experienced coach, maybe with 20 clients, and how they can grow off of that. Okay. So the beginner side of things, of course, is they just want to get their first client in the door, right? So usually their best market is themselves, right? So what it means is you probably want more of just people like you and or your circle of friends to come in with coaching. And a lot of beginners, they see these other coaches doing six figures and they're like, I want to be like them. And nothing wrong with that. But they're painting a little bit left field picture before they even get their first client, right? So I'm like, listen, that's a great vision to have. We'll work towards that, but give ourselves a year or so to get there first, because coaches, I find nowadays, are so involved too much on their money, like just money, money, money. They forget about education. They forget about, like, okay, for going from one, like say $1,000 a month or no money to 5K a month is great. Start there first, right? Which means we will work your database first. We'll show you how to coach like 5 people, how to get those first 5 clients in, and use people, of course, you already know in your database circle, whether it's your friends and family, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's school friends, local community, and like leverage your first 5 clients from your circle. Build some confidence there, right? Maybe $1,000 a month to start. That's where you start. So you don't need a niche to start off the very beginning. You just need to get your first 5 clients and get your feet wet, right? I think a lot of coaches, when they first start, they want this niche. No. Forget the niche for now. Just get 5 clients. And then from there, you get your 10 clients. And from there, we actually can understand, well, where do you want to go from here? Because you've tried little demographics of people that maybe you want to resonate more with. Okay. That's kind of the first step. Now, an advanced coach who already has 10K a month business, wonderful. Well, now we ask, okay, what is your client roster you have right now? Are they male and female dominant, right? What are the common problems that clients come to you with right now that you coach and train? Give us your top 3 clients. Who are they, right? It could be Sarah, it could be Ruby, and it could be Daniel. Cool. Out of those 3 clients right now, who is the one that you'd like to have 30 more of? Oh, I want to have Ruby. Cool. So who is Ruby? Break it down for me. Break down Ruby over the course of the process. Ruby, now we want to get 30 more Rubies, right? It doesn't mean they will exclude other clients. What it means is now their marketing becomes very general to like speaking to a certain audience because they want Rubies. Ruby could be a lawyer who makes so much a year, has stress issues, anxiety issues, doesn't eat very much food, fasts all day long, and doesn't train because they believe cardio is the queen. So you know their issues. Now you're going to work around solving them around proper coaching to build off that to get more Rubies in the door, right? So that's kind of how we start the coaching angle. We don't do Facebook ads. We don't do much advertising. It's all organic and ground roots to start. And then when the foundation is there and we get some results and they get some education under their belt, now we go to the next level.
You probably see it all the time where it's like, oh, unfortunately, maybe they aren't receptive to that idea yet. Do you see within the business that there's a certain, you have to be in business 2 years or 3 years, or, just generally speaking, people that finally like kind of wake up and realize that they need some help?
Usually, I guess it all depends on how their mindset of growth is. So if they're coachable and they have a growth mindset, whether you're a beginner or an advanced person, that's the first step. Like if you want to grow your business, but you aren't coachable at all, then you're probably not a good fit for who you can work with. Go somewhere else, right? Go watch YouTube videos for now. So the biggest thing is to strip your ego and be coachable to want to improve, right? And then find a model, somebody else who's farther advanced, and then build off of that. So that's the biggest thing I would suggest there is really shifting your perspective of how you see it. And less is more. Which means by that is that a lot of coaches will take like all these other videos and courses and marketing programs and this, and they'll just get a ton of it and they'll buy it all and they'll watch it all. And all of a sudden they're more confused than when they first started, right? I would say strip 80% of it all and go back to the basics. So when you join TRM, I'm like, you're going to get 1 training a week and you're going to work on that first aspect. We're going to keep building on your business, right? You're building a business. You aren't just going to take a flood of clients in tomorrow and all of a sudden your systems can't support people because your customer experience now is crap. No, we're going to build so you have sustainable business growth that goes 5K a month, 10K a month, 30K a month, or whatever the growth is. But you stay there and you can build off of that and actually have time with your family. And that's one thing coaches forget. They want all this growth and money and stuff, but they don't realize they want the freedom is, to me, is I think the greatest value of your business is have the weekends off with your kids or your spouses or yourself and have that chance too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, just that thought right there. It's crazy how many people do start a business and then they get chained to their desk, if you will, even more than they would be if they hadn't started their business, if they work for somebody else.
It might mean like you want to do as little as you can, but you want to be as effective as you can when you actually are on at work. You know what I mean? So, which also is a great mindset and process to have. So it all comes down to that. Some people, maybe want to take weekends off and work super awesome and, strong and hard Monday to Friday, but they want to just unplug all weekend long. Perfect. That's their vision, right? I got kids. So for me, finishing work by 5 and hanging out with the kids and chilling with them is very important to me. I used to be the guy working until 9 p.m. So I know that I can work smart and effective and efficient from say 10 to 5. That's my zone.
Right. And when you help coaches kind of achieve these milestones of getting, maybe it's off the ground to 1K to 5K to 10 and plus per month, do you start to see people have these like realizations that maybe their dreams are a lot closer than they kind of realize that they are? I think we have this idea of like billionaires and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and we're only going to be happy and successful when we're, making tens of millions of dollars a year. Do you start to see that people are actually starting to achieve these financial goals and realize that not that you have to like put your, that you have to stop or you have to put the turn the brake on or anything, but like that they are going to be happy with actually a more, quote unquote, realistic income versus making, a pro athlete salary?
Yeah, I think it defines. So when coaches come to us, whether I'm going to use more of an advanced coach, for example, who maybe is doing 10K a month in their business right now, and they want to scale to 20 or 30K. I always ask them like, why do you want to do this for? What's your reason for growing your business? And like, well, I want to be able to have a week off with my wife. I want to be able to actually breathe in the weekends and chill out. I want to have more income so I can travel more and get away, not be at my desk all day long. So there's always these awesome reasons. So I'm not hearing they want to be multimillionaires. I'm hearing they actually want to have a life. So a life could mean for you, Dan, can be different for me, or different from the coach over there, or maybe your dad, right? So I always ask, what are you doing it for? Because your definition of success could mean different than me or you or anybody else.
Right.
Right.
And is that something that you or you try to drill down pretty early on in the process, or is it more of a people sometimes get in their own head before they get going, or maybe it's kind of the same? Do you start to see that what people, why they thought they wanted it maybe does change throughout when they start to achieve certain things, their confidence may grow?
Exactly. The first beginning, whenever they come, usually is they just want to grow their business. They want to grow their business or get out of overwhelm. So, we talk about a vision initially, but until they actually see the progress for the first few months, now their vision is kind of opening up to what is possible. For example, I had a coach, maybe you've had in the podcast here, Jace Lopez from Apex Training, just before I had you. And he's with TRM now for almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And when he first came in TRM, he was doing about 9K a month as online coaching business. Now he's doing 25K a month as online coaching business, but he's working 15 less hours a week and has taken more vacation with his family than ever with his wife and daughter. And he's opened up his dream gym like 2 months ago. So he was able to actually expand his vision based off his initial results, because in the very beginning, I was like, what's your vision? Oh, I just want to make 20K. That's all he would, just 20K. That's fine for me. Have a vacation once with the family. So now we're 2.5 years later. Now he wants to have a vacation for every quarter with his family. He wants to be a 7-figure business. He wants to have an awesome gym, but that took him a year of improvement, optimization, and growth to realize where he wants to be now.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes is it hard to, like we were talking about before, you kind of had this mindset of like, what you had, and we talked about that, but is it sometimes challenging to get people to realize that like that failure isn't the worst thing?
For sure, because they almost feel like if they don't succeed, they fail, or they're a failure. And that totally is not true. sometimes we need to go through failing to realize what we don't want at the end of the day, right? And there are coaches that come, that come through our beginner TRM, like TRM Silver program with Isaac, who realize maybe coaching isn't their thing, or they start getting clients and they're like, maybe I'll just get my corporate job, and that's really kind of rare. But most times when Isaac shows them the way in the Silver program, they realize what's possible, with their business, because they're so stuck on seeing the social media posts on social media and seeing what's out there, and they're comparing themselves against a wrong ideal. And now the wrong ideal is someone that's way in left field, and they feel guilty because they aren't like them. And that's totally not true. The most important person to compare yourself to is yourself. Who you were last year is different than who you are today.
Right. And so you mentioned that they're the Silver program. And for those of the people out there, the coaches who may be interested in the kind of the, what those different programs are, kind of go through the three different main programs that you guys offer, and just kind of an outline of each one, and what the benefits are.
I would love to. So TRM Silver is run by Isaac Miller, a TRM Silver mentor, and he's began as a client in TRM 3 years ago. Now he's our mentor. That helps a part-time coach move to being a full-time coach with their coaching business. TRM Gold is a second tier, actually run by Jamie Fowler, our chief mentor of TRM, and also Isaac is a part of that as well, but Jamie is the main head there. And she trains them, and that basically is for a 5-6-figure coach who wants to build a reliable 6-figure business, have more profitable clients, and have more time freedom in their business. Okay. And then TRM Platinum is more of a high level program for 6-figure coaches who already are busy with people. They already have a full schedule, they're jam-packed, and they want to optimize their business, they want to scale smarter, and they want to build more time freedom. And the cool part of our programs is Gold and Silver. We have a very unique system called TRM Engine. And we're the almost way out there right now that actually do this sort of thing in the back end of business system. We actually have a system called TRM Engine run by our engineer called Laurent Dakari, and he's called the TRM Systems Ninja. So we built our own software, Dan, where Laurent and his team actually help our clients systemize and scale their business. Jamie and Isaac help coach them. And then we have education and training to also help them keep them on point for their learning and education. So we've kind of taken, when I first began this company, I was at a one-guy show. But now I've learned who's skilled in certain areas. And then Laurent's been our engineer. We have Jamie as our chief mentor. We have Isaac in there. We got Tanny. We got our leaders. And I'm the kind of guy, I'm a team player. Our 5 core values in TRM is integrity, esprit de corps, passion, growth, and impact. So esprit de corps is from the military. So actually from Isaac, by the way. So esprit de corps is all about, we all look at our strengths and we call align to the greater good of a vision of our coaches. So there's nobody better than anybody else. It's like, who's going to help our clients? So the cool thing is when you come through TRM, you get our team of experts, right? And you get coaching and mentoring, you get education, and you get systems, and are actually your own software to help scale your business.
So of the 3 kind of groups of experience and business level at any given time, what are some of the mental hurdles? Because I think we often think of like a young business owner having maybe being the one that is struggling and being the one that is trying to figure things out. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's challenges and maybe mental blocks at every single level that are reasons why we aren't getting to that next level. And so take us through maybe some of the most common ones for the beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced when it comes to those mental hurdles that you have to kind of guide people through to get them to that next step.
Sure. The first one definitely is confidence. The second definitely is feeling like an imposter. And the third comes into, am I smart enough or am I good enough? Right? Like, do I need more education? And the answer is, you're good enough the way you are. You can always learn more. Anybody can learn more at the end of the day. Those are the 3 in the beginning stages. But when you get to more an advanced coach, the mental hurdle usually is, I'm overwhelmed and I'm tired and I feel like, how can I even grow because I feel totally stressed? So that they're almost in this like fear mode, right? Number 2 is they don't know where to go or what next move to make because they're just like totally stuck and overwhelmed. And the third is they're in this like almost scarcity mindset because they're so busy with people. So they're like constrained by this like busy mindset. So they almost need to open the scarcity up to what is possible for a more abundant business. So it kind of like goes through these stages of mental blocks and hurdles we actually had to overcome as they go on the stage of their businesses.
And so if somebody comes to TRM and they're like, all right, I want to have a talk with them because it seems like my business could use some help. I really am to the point to where I want to get help with it. Generally speaking, it's going to be, I'm sure, a little bit different for everybody in regards to how the information sinks in and all that stuff. But generally speaking, if somebody wants to wants to go through the silver program, what is that time period? And do people typically go through it once? Is it maybe let's go through this multiple times? Like, what is that like?
So each one of our programs, silver, gold, and platinum, is a 6-month process to start with next steps afterwards. So we always say 6 months. It might seem like, oh, silver is 6 months to go from 0 to 5K a month. I'm like, yeah, actually it is, because you're just learning to be a coach. So, you want to become a coach. People almost want to be at $10,000 tomorrow. I'm like, listen, you got to grow into having a $10,000 month. It doesn't just happen overnight, because I've seen coaches who try to grow really fast, and we have the model to grow really fast, but psychologically, they're still at a $4,000 a month level. So they sabotage the results. They go back down the next month, and then they feel guilty and upset. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't grow internally with your business. So I always say progress slow and steady so you can keep progressing. So it's usually 6 months for each one of our 3 programs. And then we have next steps afterwards for them as well too.
Gotcha. And just along those lines of the next steps, is this if somebody says, I love the community aspect of this, is this something that someone can just be a part of that community, a coach that just stays in and, I get the advice, I get the support, I get the encouragement, that kind of thing as well?
It is. So basically, at the end of the program, we actually have, depending where they are and of course where they grow in their businesses, we have levels where they can do some one-on-one coaching, they can have the TRM engine, and they can be in the community as well too. And we definitely have different layers and tiers for that. But it all depends. So some coaches come into the program and they explode, and they like 3x their business in 3 months. Some take a little bit longer because they're applying things a bit slower in their business. So, but every client that comes in, we do our model for a reason. I'm going to do this. I've done my 25th group so far, and I found a formula that works how to take a client through this way, because it was like a 3-month program for the first 3.5, 4 years. And I was like, it's almost too short of a time span to actually give people the right strategies and have them grow progressively.
Do you have kind of things in those programs that for the people who maybe are a little bit quicker with the results or with like how that stuff sinks in, that they can still continue to gain benefits?
100%, 100%. Yeah. That's why a lot of our one-on-one coaching is so specialized that we do, Dan. So we have one-on-one coaching in everything that we do, but it's highly specialized one-on-one coaching. And because our community of leaders, and our leaders are, I'll mention their names because they're phenomenal leaders we have in the program. We have Alvin Brown, personal mastery training. He's absolutely phenomenal. We have Jace Lopez of Apex Training. He's a powerhouse. We have Amanda Voisin from Toronto. She's absolutely amazing. She has a place called AGF Studios. Greg McCoy, he's amazing. He has hidden gym over in Texas. And we have Darren Mailing as well. Darren actually is out of Toronto as well. Freak Fitness actually is amazing. So we have these amazing leaders that, really are there because they've gone through TRM as a client. They've had success. And I watch, I'm like, okay, who's excelling and who's actually applying these principles? I don't care how fast you're growing. I just want to know if you're actually showing up, putting the work in and getting results in your life and your business. And that's why we've chosen these 6. And we still keep adding leaders in the program. But I have always believed community is very important. Especially we're now with technology. Community is essential. So I've picked leaders who, a mix of male, female, that really bring a lot of energy to our groups. Like positivity. They show up every time. They're very helpful, very coachable. They want to serve. And I'm proud of that because to me, the community is gold. And if people are staying in our program for a very long time because they know we care. We care about you, like more than just a number. And that's why Jason's been here for almost 3 years. Like Jamie Fowler's been here from freaking day when I first began the program. She began $1,000 a month online coach, Jamie Fowler. And now she has $58,000 a month in her business almost 5 years later. And she was with me from day one. And now she's with our chief mentor. So I'm probably proud of that the most, Dan, because I believe in people. And if people show me they're committed, I don't care if you take a little bit longer approach. I don't really care. I'll invest more into you because I believe in commitment as far as process is concerned.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
And there are coaching programs, I'm sure you probably even know of them in the industry, of course, that do fitness coaching for fitness coaches out there that are completely opposite of us. They're very cutthroat, very, grind, as hard as you can. And that's awesome for some people that means for them. For us, we have a lot of clients coming in that have families, and they're go-getters. They've been in the game for 15, 20 years, and they don't want baloney. They don't want a bunch of weird crap. They want real people that actually have proven track records. And that's who we attract to our coaching programs is more advanced coaches. So because we're the coaching company that, how do I say this? I deeply care about my people, like probably more than I probably should say, almost like too personal. Even Tanya's like, Mathew, just back up a little bit, stay in your zone of genius, don't get too personal here, because I really care about people and I want to see them succeed, because I've been in the shoes of having nothing. I've been broke and had nothing, and it sucks. So I see people coming in the program that give everything into. I'm like, how can I help you win so you can take your family out to Disneyland one time, so you can take your wife out for dinner and buy her the best wine possible, and then go take her for a weekend to to Banff, whatever it might be. So I'm very much that kind of human in how I coach and lead my team.
Yeah. In terms of the industry itself, you mentioned obviously at the beginning that you got into it very young and in different areas, different kind of avenues of fitness, whether it be bodybuilding or kind of the organizational side of it, the business side of it, all that kind of stuff. But how have you seen it grow even in just the last 5-6 years?
What I've noticed is now everybody wants to be a coach. And everyone wants to be a business coach when they've only been coaching clients for 3 months. So I've noticed that's happened a lot but it's also a good thing, because I realized the great coaches out there who have great coaching companies rise to the top, where the ones that are just trying to make it for a quick dollar, try it for 3 months and they're done. So I think the biggest thing I've seen change is when I first started this TRM company, there was only a handful of these coaches out there doing what we were doing, right? I was one of them, and there was probably a good chunk of them, but now there's crap loads of them all over the place. And it's almost like to the point where it's like a little bit just icky in certain things. It makes me sense. Almost like, really, another person DMing me about fitness coaching. So now I'm like, if you can just be a good person and truly care about people and help them get results, you're going to win. But I always say, like, take a turtle approach, but have a strong shell, and you're going to beat the rabbit. So here's how I see it in business, because I've taken a turtle approach, and I'll tell you what I mean by this. I've seen coaches come through our program who've been on my team, who've been in the circle, who tried to do what we did and didn't progress. And here's what happens. So I see TRM as this turtle with a hard shell, and it has one thing. It has the finish line right over there. It's 10 years away, actually, right over in the front. But the rabbit's over here, and they're jumping this idea, that idea, this idea, this idea. And all of a sudden, 10 years, they're over in 10 different ideas. I want to get a supplement. I want to have clothing. I want to have ebooks. I want to have all this stuff. So I realized we may not be the fastest horse in the garden, but I'll tell you what, in 5 years, we're still here and we're thriving.
There's people like TRM out there that can do it well, that are out there to help the community and because when you're helping coaches, you're also helping the clients too. And I think that's something that, a lot of people may not see at the first glance, but that's a great aspect, a great kind of secondary, tertiary, whatever it is, aspect to helping coaches is that you're helping just the world in general be a healthier, a fitter, a more achieved and confident and empowered place as well. So I think that there's a real and I think when you endeavor in anything positive, there's always going to be that streamline, like down the line of good things that come. So, keep doing it. Keep, with TRM, keep, pushing it out there. And we're doing our best here. I really appreciate, you and TRM and the collaborative and partner like community that you've kind of built with us and having access to, the information and, your team and the coaches that you've helped and all that kind of stuff. It really makes us feel like we're involved as well. So we really appreciate that.
It's our pleasure, man. I think when I first kind of gave you the yes on the collaboration, I was looking at all your stuff you've built in the last how many years. And I realized, this guy's got 300 and some episodes. Like, he's been at the game. He's been doing a turtle approach, like hard shell, build the business. And you could tell, like, you really care about what you do. And even Isaac was like, this guy's the real deal. So that was a big reason, because I'm always very picky. I usually say not no to partner collaborations, more like what's going to serve the collective whole. And I just saw your passion, what you do, and you put out a great product, man.
Appreciate that. And I'd love to have, more people from your team, the leaders and the people, the mentors and stuff like that to have them on and share about what they do and their experience. That would be fun as well.
We'll definitely get the team on there. We got a whole team, man. We got some heavy hitters coming to you, bud.
I'm looking forward to it. And just having you on is the forerunner to all the episodes to come. And I look forward to kind of seeing it in a few months or, whatever it is, 6 months from now, seeing just all the different people from TRM that I've had on and all the collective information and knowledge and wisdom that we've shared throughout the last, several episodes.
Looking forward to it, man. Can't wait.
Absolutely. And if you want to, before we head out, I appreciate you coming on. But if you want to share, TRM's info, the website, anything like that, you can go ahead and do that.
Perfect. You can go to trainerrevenuemultiplier.com to learn more about the information of our program. You can also, if you want, book a growth coaching call, a business growth coaching call with us, learn more about your business, learn more about kind of where things are in your company, where you want to succeed. It's totally free of charge for you guys to help you guys grow your businesses. Online, you can follow me at official Mathew Park with 1T, or at Trainer Multiplier, of course, as well too, for the Instagram handle.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.